Welcome to video podcast number 40. I didn't expect to do a video podcast today. Today is Wednesday, August 23rd. 99% chance I'm still going to do a video podcast exclusively for my $5 and up Patreon subscribers tomorrow, Thursday. So, yeah, I will be doing 99% chance I'll be doing another video podcast tomorrow. Now, as I've told you before, the good news and the bad news for my listeners and viewers who are not Patreon.com subscribers of mine is that whenever I do a free video, that means I'm usually going to do one of three things. I'm going to be ranting, rambling, and or admonishing. Ranting, rambling, and or admonishing. Or at bare minimum, I'm going to just be discussing feedback I've received from listeners and viewers for my recent video podcast. So this is one of those videos. So this video is going to be for free. You don't have to be a Patreon.com subscriber to watch it. But it's not going to be what I would call an advice-driven video podcast. It's going to be more of a rant / ramble / admonishment / discussion of feedback from listeners. Get this out the way, even though I already drank half the bottle. And now my computer's messing up. Hold on. Can't get this damn thing right. Shine. My favorite flavor. But as you can see by the top half of the bottle, I've already drank probably 2/3 of this, so I'll just be really knocking this out. Shine. Excuse me. Hopefully, this video won't be, well, I said I wasn't going to try to predict the length of my videos because I always end up going over the prediction. But I'm going to try to keep this 30 minutes or less. As expected, I got a lot of video, a lot of feedback on my very last video about bitterness between the genders. Actually, I had far more cosigns, thumbs up, and agreements to the things I said in that video than I did, disagreements or criticisms. Now, as I anticipated, there were some people that expressed to me both publicly and privately that some of the content of that video left their egos feeling bruised or feelings hurt to one degree or another. Because as I mentioned in the video, I said anytime you talk about stuff that has to do either directly or indirectly with people's physical attractiveness in some part, you're going to inevitably end up hurting some feelings or bruising some egos. Or just people's inability to attract quality members of the opposite sex. You're going to inevitably bruise some egos and hurt some feelings. Like I had one brother from my comment section, he openly said, He said, Alan, I'm gonna be real. Now on the positive end, he said the discussion you had, Alan, I think was a discussion that needed to be talked about. But he said I will openly admit that I'm the type of brother that kind of gets irritated when I see another brother pulling more women than me, solely and specifically because he's perceived as better looking than me. He said I can handle a guy pulling more women than me if he's, more accomplished in his career than me and just generally more successful financially, whatnot. But he said, he basically said so many words. He said, if a guy is pulling more women than me and getting more women in bed than me strictly because he's perceived as having a better looking face than me or a better looking physique than me, he said that leaves me kind of ruffled. And if you remember the video podcast I did when I talked about men who hate on ladies, men, and womanizers, I talked about that in detail. That's the reality of life, man. I mean, it happens on the female end. It's not just totally one-sided either. I know women who hate on other women who get more attention from men than them, particularly simply because that woman has a better looking face and or a better looking body than them. A lot of women can't stand that shit. There was a woman, I can't remember her name. There was a woman who wrote a book called something to the effect of "Fuck all you skinny bitches." I don't know if that was the exact title of the book, but it was to that effect. She was a heavy-set woman, and she lightheartedly admitted in her book that she was jealous and envious of all women who were slender, slimmer than her. I mean, a lot of the book was tongue-in-cheek. She didn't really criticize me in a real harsh or serious manner. But yeah, she basically attacked all what she called the skinny bitches of the world. But yeah, man, I told you about my own personal stories, man. The first time I experienced that, guys hating on me because of my looks, was my senior in high school. I would say prior to that, I don't think I ever had that happen in like middle school or my first 3 years of high school. But yeah, man, the first year that happened with me was my senior in high school. I used to have a lot of guys, man, that used to hate on me because I was more popular with the girls than they were, and I was perceived as being more handsome than they were. So first I'm going to touch on that. I'm going to touch on a few issues, and like I said, I'm going to hopefully keep this 30 minutes or less. One, on the issue of looks. I had at least 2 people write me and say, Alan, your last video seemed like a contradiction. You've always said that looks are not the most important thing, but when you talked about men being 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and women being 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, it seemed like you were essentially saying that looks is the most important thing. So, Alan, which is it? I'm confused. Are looks important or are they not important? Some of you don't listen. That's your problem. Hopefully this is not any of my loyal clients and my faithful followers and supporters. But if it is, includes some of you guys, then I'm criticized. Because normally when I do these rants and admonishments and rambles, it's usually towards men who are not one of my regular clients or faithful and loyal supporters and financial followers and financial supporters. Usually towards my haters and critics. But you wonder why a lot of times in my video podcasts I end up repeating a lot of shit. If you go back and watch all my video podcasts, you'll see that I end up like 1/3 of each of my videos is me repeating shit that I've already said in previous videos. Why do I feel compelled to do that? Because a lot of you all don't listen. So first off, on the looks issue, I've never said that looks were not important, ever. And I dare anybody to say that I ever have. I've never ever said that looks, I've never said either one of these two things. I've never said that looks are the sole and specific factor that contributes to a man's success with women. And on the flip side, I've never said that looks were a total non-factor when it comes to contributing to a man's success with women. Looks are always going to be a factor to some degree. To some degree. Believe that shit. So for those of you who are delusional enough to believe that looks should not play any factor at all in your ability to attract and seduce women, you're delusional. Plain and simply. You're fucking delusional. There has to be something about you that is physically appealing to a woman. The only exception would be if you spending money on a woman to fuck her. I'll touch on that in a second. But money aside, man, you gotta have something about you that's physically attractive to a woman. Something. If it's not your total package from head to toe, then it gotta be something very specific. Like it could be the color of your eyes, the shape of your nose, how pretty nice a smile a woman thinks you have, how muscular of a chest she thinks you have, how broad your shoulders are, how lean and flat and muscular your stomach is. That's a big thing with women, by the way. The length and or thickness of your dick, how nice your butt is in the eyes of a woman, how nice your thighs or calves are in the eyes of a woman. There has to be something about you that a woman finds physically appealing. If a woman sizes you up and she finds that there's literally nothing about you that she finds physically attractive or sexually appealing, 99.9% chance she ain't gonna give you no pussy. Period. I've never deluded men in this area. Ever. If there's nothing about you that a woman finds physically attractive and or sexually appealing, that woman ain't gonna give you no pussy, again, with the exception of if you spending money on it. Women who are prostitutes, call girls, and erotic escorts, they have sex all the time with guys who they're not physically attracted to, because those guys are paying them to. And the thing about those women, they're not genuinely aroused by those men. If you notice, I've talked about this on at least one previous podcast. A lot of women who are prostitutes, call girls, erotic escorts, they have to use what's known as an artificial lubricant. Their pussy is not genuinely wet when they have sex with a lot of their clients. They use a lubricant so that those guys can fuck them, because they're not genuinely aroused. So your looks are always going to play a factor. Now, on the opposite end of the stick, for those guys who think looks is the be-all, end-all of everything, like that's the only thing that leads to you attracting and seducing women, I would also disagree with that. I've known guys, I've said it before, I've known guys who were more or less average looking that have got more pussy than guys who were better looking than them. Like in my own fraternity, I saw that happen in college. When I was in college, when I was in a fraternity, I know some of my fraternity brothers who were average to slightly above average looking that was fucking all kinds of women. And then some of my better looking frat brothers, they only fucked a handful of women. I have my own stories that I've told you that destroy the concept that looks is everything. The most notable one is verbal seduction story number 1 from my book, Who Said Again. If looks was the only thing that contributed to a man's success with women, then that woman that I was on that triple date with, she would have gave me the pussy immediately. She would have just said, damn, you so fine, you so handsome. I just want to give you some pussy and I just want to suck your dick. That's when you know that your looks is 90 to 99% of the reason why a woman is fucking you. Is when a woman just basically throws the pussy at you. And honestly, if I had to be real, I've had that happen a few times. I would say, in my history, I would say probably like 10 to 15% of the women I've had sex with in my life were women who gave me pussy just simply because they told me they thought I was fine and sexy. They approached me. Like, I always bring up my senior year. Probably the number one time that happened to me was my senior year in high school. And I used to joke about on Blog Talk Radio that kind of, in a way, set me up for failure in college and beyond. Because when I was a senior in high school, probably 95% of women I fucked, they just threw the pussy at me. I didn't really seduce them. They just basically came up to me and said, I think you're handsome. I want to give you some pussy. And I just took it. Like Eddie Murphy had a joke about pussy being thrown to you like frisbees. If there was one year I had it like that, more than any other year in my life, was my senior year in high school. Women just like threw pussy at me my senior year in high school. I never used any verbal seduction techniques to seduce women my senior year in high school. Just about every woman I fucked, they just gave me the pussy. Just for the most part, purely based on my looks. And truthfully, I thought it was going to be that way for the rest of my life. I really did. I thought it was going to be that way for the rest of my life. And it wasn't. But yeah, if you're an exceptionally good looking dude and you have women that just literally approach you first and tell you, damn, you're so handsome, would you like to come to my place and fuck me? Then that's when you can legitimately say that I get pussy pretty much just solely based on my looks. For most guys, that ain't gonna happen. Now, with me, I'm sure my looks have played a contributing factor. I would never deny that in a million years. My looks have definitely played a contributing factor to the women I've attracted and seduced. But I definitely wouldn't say that's been the only factor, and for the most part, I wouldn't even say that's been the number one factor. I would say the number one factor is my verbal communication skills. If I had to point to one thing that's helped me get women in bed more than any other one factor, it would be my verbal communication skills and my verbal seduction skills. I know how to use my verbal communication skills to get women's pussies wet, period. That's why I'm a fucking dating coach. More on that in a second. So, on the whole looks issue, again, this is something I've talked about over and over and over and over again. For most men in society, looks are not the sole and specific factor that helps them get laid, but at the same time, looks are always going to contribute to your romantic and sexual success with women. Always. Always. I mentioned one final thing on looks. I mentioned already a few times. Match.com, the online matchmaking service. They actually did a survey. This was a few years ago, where they did a survey where they surveyed their male subscribers and female subscribers about the importance of looks. And one of the things they found was that women not only are just as looks oriented as men are, because a lot of men believe that women, I can't tell you how many men I've had communicate to me in one way or another that they believe that women don't put as much emphasis on looks that men do. That's bullshit. And I've said that before. I'll tell you straight up. I know that even without the Match.com survey, I know that's bullshit. That's bullshit. So if you're a guy who's ever believed that women don't put nearly as much emphasis on looks as men do, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. And that Match.com survey proved it. Matter of fact, it proved that not only do women put just as much emphasis, but I want to say the survey proved that women actually put slightly more emphasis on looks than men do, particularly from the neck on down. They don't put as much emphasis on facial looks as men do with women, but in terms of body-wise, neck on down, women actually put slightly more emphasis on looks than men do. I know that just from my own private conversations with women. Women definitely, at minimum, women definitely pay attention to men's physiques, man. Women definitely pay attention to men's physiques. Matter of fact, you heard me briefly touch on when I was talking about different parts of the body that women might be turned on by. I remember right before I left Los Angeles, because when I lived in Los Angeles, I was really into, well, really a lot of different times in my life period, I've been into health and fitness. I've had my moments where I've been a slacker. I've definitely let myself get heavy at different years of my life. But I actually used to work at a health and fitness club when I lived in LA for a while. So yeah, I used to read health and fitness magazines like on a pretty regular basis. And one of the last magazines I remember reading before I left Los Angeles to come back to the Midwest, I can't remember the title of the magazine, but they had done this survey among women and asked them specifically what parts of a man's physique turn you on the most. And then they ranked them. You know what was number one? Number one specific part of a man's physique that women had ranked number one. Yeah, obviously, for some reason, I thought dick was going to be the number one. Was a man's dick, the size of a man's dick. That was like third or fourth. Was dick. Dick was not number one. Number one was stomach. That was number one. A man's, as they call it these days, a man's core. That's what they call it, a man's core. That was the number one thing ranked in this particular survey among the women who participated in this survey. That was ranked number one, was a man's core, his stomach. Women said the number one part of a man's physique that most turns them on the most is a man who has a lean, flat, muscular stomach. A lean. I remember there's one celebrity who talked about that was Usher, who's been in the news lately for some not so great things. But I remember I was watching a video about Usher, man. He was talking about working out. He was talking about his health and fitness. And the person interviewing him said, is there any one part of the body you put the most emphasis on? He said, oh, for sure, my stomach. He said, that's the number one part of my body that women go crazy over the most, is my stomach. He said, he said, if you want girls to go crazy over you, he said, you gotta have that 6-pack stomach. So yeah, that was number one, man, was stomach. I think number two, I want to say number two was a tie, if I vaguely remember. This was a long time ago. This was like 2000. I think number two was a tie between broad shoulders and a wide muscular chest. Broad shoulders and a wide muscular chest was tied for number two. I think number three was man's dick. I think after that was, I think his butt. I think a man's butt was right after the dick. It was a man's butt. After that, I can't really remember. It might have been thighs and calves and whatever else. Oh, I'll tell you an underrated thing that women pay attention to. And this comes from keeping your body in shape and working out. Jawline. Jawline. I never knew how many women paid attention to a man's jawline. But according to this survey, and I've had some women I know personally have mentioned it from time to time. Yeah, man, women, believe it or not, women pay attention to a man's jaw, how crisp and muscular your jawline is. That's a big thing to do with looks. Women pay attention to your jawline. But yeah, number one, though, I remember distinctly, number one, though, was stomach. That's the number one part of your body, particularly from the neck on down, that women pay attention to. So if you got that big beer belly, here's what I've noticed about men who got a big stomach. Here's the only two times you can get away with pulling a lot of women with a big stomach, is if you got these two things going for you. And a lot of men I've talked to have agreed with me on this, so I know it's not just me. If you tall and you got a big dick, If you tall and you got a big dick, you can get away with having a somewhat big stomach. Like, if you tall and women know you got a big dick, you don't have to have a real flat six-pack stomach. But the shorter you are and the smaller your dick is, you can't have no fat stomach, dog. And I know I might be bruising some egos and hurting some feelings and talking about this, but a lot of shit I do, that happens. But I'm just keeping shit real like I do on my channel. I'm telling you, I'm just keeping shit real. Under the category of looks, the shorter you are and or the smaller your dick is, the less you can afford to have a fat stomach. The less you can afford to have a fat stomach. On the flip side, the taller you are and or the bigger your dick is, women are excused. But even then, if your stomach is like super huge, like I don't know any woman that's turned on by a guy that got just like a super huge beer belly. That is not a turn on to any woman, even if you tall or got a big dick. I mean, you can have a little pudge in your stomach, but if you just got like just a super huge John Goodman from Roseanne show type beer belly, man, ain't no woman attracted to that. I'm just gonna keep it real, man. Ain't no woman attracted to that, man. So anyway, I know this is going over a half hour. I said I was gonna keep it 30 minutes. I know for a fact I'm going over a half hour. So that's it for the looks piece. Next issue, money. I've talked about this a number of times on previous video podcasts. I had some guys write me and make the argument, well, Alan, it seemed like you was talking about a guy can't pull a woman because he's a 1, or a guy can't pull a woman because physically, in terms of physical attractiveness, he's a 1, a 2, a 3, or 4. And these guys were like, that's bullshit, Alan, because one thing guys always have going for them is money. And career success and material possessions. So that's bullshit. Like with a woman, if a woman, even if she got a successful career and 6 or 7 figures in her bank account, if she's ugly, she still ain't gonna pull no men. But if a man can be ugly as shit, but if he got money, he's still gonna pull women. Are you serious? See, this is where I gotta admonish you guys. I'm assuming now, maybe this was your first or second video listening to me, watching me. And if it was, I'll give you a pass. But if you watched a number of my videos since I got on YouTube back in, what was that, mid-April? Then you'll know that argument you're making to me is bullshit. It's bullshit. Money does not make you sexier to women. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. When I've told my stories about fucking women who were married, engaged to be married, or had long-term boyfriends, do you know just about every woman I fucked in my life where I was their other man? I was the man they were cheating on their husband with, or cheating on their fiance with, or cheating on their boyfriend with. I would say probably 80 to 90% of those women in that category, their husbands, fiancés, or boyfriends were making more money than me. They were making more, in some cases, way more money than me. So if money and material possessions was the key to them being sexually appealing, why was those women fucking me then? And I was, in many cases, I was broke and unemployed. Why were they fucking me then? Huh? Answer that question. I had one woman, I've told the story a million times, her fiance was damn near a millionaire. He was making something like 900 grand a year. And I was fucking her on a regular basis. So if money is the key to pulling women, why was she fucking me? And I was making at the time like about 35, 40 grand a year. And this motherfucker, her fiance was making like 900 grand a year. And I've had other women, again, who their husbands, fiancés, and boyfriends was making 2, 3, 4 times as much money as I was making, but yet I was fucking their wife, fucking their fiance, and fucking their girlfriend. So if money is the number one key Why am I fucking them then? Here's the reality, man. And here I got to take a jab at another YouTube host. And this is somebody I actually think is generally a pretty cool dude. I'm not going to say his name. I've mentioned him, though, before by name on my show. But I want to say about 2 or 3 weeks ago when I did that video about MGTOW, this particular YouTube host, he did a rebuttal to my MGTOW video. He basically defended MGTOWs. And I wrote some comments in his comment section. Anyway, he made the comment in his rebuttal video. He made a comment that I totally disagree with. He said, he was directing his comment at me, and he said, Alan, I'm paraphrasing his words. He said, Alan, I have to let you know, not only are there men who are womanizing alpha males in society, but there are also men who are womanizing beta males. The only difference is the womanizing beta males usually have to invest more time spent with women non-sexually, and they have to spend more money on women. Stop right there. Stop right there. And this is something that a lot of you guys tend to confuse and conflate. There's a lot of things that you guys, not a lot of you guys, but a good number of you guys tend to confuse and conflate. And I always make this clarification. There is a big difference, big ass difference, between being a ladies' man / womanizer and being a trick or a sugar daddy. Big ass difference. So a lot of guys tend to loop all of those labels kind of in the same mixing bowl, so to speak. No, they're not. It's a big ass difference between being a ladies' man / womanizer and being a sugar daddy / trick. Any motherfucker can be a trick. Okay? Understand that. Any motherfucker can be a trick. You don't need no special look to be a trick. You don't need a high degree of confidence to be a trick. You don't need to have any type of effective verbal communication skills or verbal seduction skills to be a trick. Any motherfucker could be a trick. A motherfucker who's 400 pounds with 4 rotten teeth in his mouth and only takes a bath twice a week can be a fucking trick. I ain't impressed by no man who's a fucking trick. Any motherfucker could be a trick. Don't ever put that in the same sentence as a ladies' man or a womanizer. Like, I give you a celebrity example. A lot of people in the media used to refer to Charlie Sheen as a womanizer and a ladies' man. That motherfucker was buying pussy. Almost every woman he fucked outside the context of his marriages, he was buying pussy. And he openly acknowledged that he was buying pussy. He was paying call girls, erotic escorts for pussy, porn stars for pussy. That ain't no ladies' man. That ain't no womanizer. Who is giving you these definitions? That's a trick. If you got money, any bitch gonna be willing to give you some pussy so she can gain access to your financial resources and your material possessions. It's just like my cousin. I met my cousin one time. He went to Rio de Janeiro, popular spot among a lot of black men, particularly single black men. Well, even married black men too. But he went with some friends of his. And he was talking about how he had this one friend of his, I think he was a college classmate, who went to Rio, and on the way back, he was bragging about the fact that he had fucked 8, 9, or 10 different women. And my cousin and one of his other friends was like, yeah, but you paid them to fuck her. What are you talking about? Why are you bragging about the fact that you fucked 8, 9, 10 women when you paid them to? And see, that's how I feel. No man should ever be bragging about how many women he's fucked if he paid. I'll give you another example. There was a guy interviewed, what was this guy's name? I think his name was Dan Perino. I might be wrong on that name, but I think his name. I interviewed this guy on Blog Talk Radio. He's this Caucasian guy who made the mainstream news in New York City because he put these posters up on these telephone poles saying that he was looking for a girlfriend. And he got supposedly this great response. He had all these women that contacted him. So I read about the story, and I invited him to come on my show. And in the latter half of the show, Steve the Dean Williams joined me, and we were both interviewing him together. And in the first part of the interview, he was trying to present himself as this top-notch ladies' man and womanizer. But what's one of the things I always tell you? I can tell if a guy's a ladies' man or womanizer. There's at least two characteristics I always talk about. If I meet you in person, I can tell by looking at your eyes, man. Or even on video. I can tell by looking at your eyes. And along with that, I can tell by listening to your voice, the way you talk. I can tell ladies, man, and womanizers, man, by the way they use their eyes and the way they use their voice. And this guy, he just didn't impress me as a guy who was a true ladies, man, and womanizer. Sure enough, in the latter part of the interview, the motherfucker confesses that he, of all the women he fucked after he put those posters up, he had spent, I think he fucked about, I don't know, I can't remember the number, let's say 12. I want to say he fucked like 12 to 15 of the women who responded to him. But he said he spent a total of $20,000 on these 12 to 15 women. And immediately I was like, oh, motherfucker, you ain't no womanizer. You ain't no ladies man. You a fucking trick. You a trick. That's a totally different concept. Any bitch will give you some pussy if you're offering to pay her $500 to $1,000 for it. Shit. A woman could be completely unattracted to you. But if you tell her you're going to pay her $500, $750, $1,000 or more, of course she's going to give you some pussy. Particularly if she's a prostitute, call girl, or erotic escort. Even women who are not in those line of work going to give you some pussy. If you're going to tell them you're going to spend money on them, the fuck? I've had women that have told me, and I talked about this in the possibility of sex. I know women who have married guys that they were completely unattracted to physically and sexually. They married those guys because they knew they was going to gain access to those guys' financial resources and material possessions. Matter of fact, that woman I was talking about that I fucked, who had the fiance who was making around $900,000 a year. She told me. She wasn't, matter of fact, she was Caucasian. She told me straight up, she said, I'm not even sexually attracted to white guys. And I was like, really? She said, no. She said, I like black guys. She said, when it comes to just straight fucking, I like black guys. She said, the only reason I'm with my fiance is because of his money. She literally told me that. She said that was the only reason she was getting married this dude was because of his money. She basically was like, if you took away this guy's money, she wouldn't even let him sniff her pussy. That's how a lot of women are, man. I try to wake you up, get you guys up to that. So anyway, for all you guys who say, well, hey, Alan, I disagree with you. You can be a man can be a 2 or a 3 and still pull gorgeous women if he has money. That's half true and half not true. You probably will be able to pull women. You'll be able to pull just about any woman if you're offering to pay her bills, or you're offering to compensate her, or you're offering her long-term financial security. But that doesn't mean that that woman is genuinely attracted to you sexually. That's what I'm saying. That doesn't mean that that woman is genuinely attracted to you sexually. The number one time you know that a woman is what I call genuinely attracted to you sexually is when you can fuck her without spending $1 on her ass. That's real talk. That's the number one time you know a woman genuinely wants you to fuck her because she's genuinely attracted to you. Is when you don't have to spend not one fucking dollar. Most of the women I fucked in my life, I didn't spend shit on them. I didn't spend no money on them. Matter of fact, I talked about it in one previous video podcast. If I had to tally up all the money I spent on women, and then tally up, give a rough estimate of all the money that women have spent on me, it's a no contest. It's literally a no contest. I would say in my lifetime, rough estimate, I would say women have spent 3 times more money on me than I have on them. And that's real talk. Most of the women I fucked, I ain't spend shit on them. I mean, literally, I'm talking about like, I ain't even spend like $15, $20 on them. Particularly the women who I was their other man, I didn't spend no money on those women. Like none. Like zero. Every woman that I was her other man, where I was the guy she was cheating on her husband with, cheating on her fiance with, cheating on her boyfriend with, I didn't spend no money on them bitches. None. Zero. They spent money on me. That's when you know a woman is really into you sexually. Is when at minimum you don't spend no money on them, and at maximum when they spending money on you. That's when a woman, you know that you do it for a woman. If you're spending hundreds of dollars on a woman, thousands of dollars on a woman, tens of thousands of dollars on a woman, there's at least a 50% chance that woman ain't really into you, man. That woman ain't really into you. She just fucking you because she gaining access to your financial resources and shit. That's a totally different animal. So in other words, without me getting any lengthy than I have already, on the money piece, man, don't ever confuse and conflate a genuine ladies' man and womanizer with a guy who's a sugar daddy or a trick. Those two are in 2 totally different categories. Those two are in 2 totally different categories. If a woman ain't motivated to give you no pussy, if you ain't offering to spend money on her, then that means that she ain't really attracted to you sexually. Period. End of story. She ain't really attracted to you. Final thing, and hopefully I can keep this whole thing under an hour. I already promised to keep it under half hour, but now my new target is to keep it under an hour. Do a lot of you all understand what a fucking coach is? I talked about this before. See, all this shit I'm talking about in this video podcast is really repetitive shit. And the only reason I'm doing it because I'm doing it based on feedback from my listeners and viewers. Here's 2 things you should not confuse a dating coach with. There's really, I can probably name 15 things if I was being nitpicky. But at minimum, I'm going to narrow it down to 2 things. 2 things you should never confuse a dating coach with. Don't ever confuse a dating coach with a matchmaker. And even more so, don't ever confuse a dating coach with a miracle worker. Okay? Write that down if you need to. Don't ever confuse a dating coach with a matchmaker. And don't ever confuse a dating coach with a miracle worker. As far as the matchmaker, I had a few guys, and even actually I want to say 1 or 2 women that wrote me this few bits. This wasn't just guys. This was men and women. They kind of said, you know, in a nutshell, their essential argument was they said, Alan, you know, I like you. You seem like you're good at what you do, but one guy was like, Alan, can you really, you made this analogy where you said if a guy's a 1, 2, 3, or 4, he's highly unlikely to be able to connect with a woman who's a 7, 8, 9, or 10. And then I had also a woman who wrote me and essentially said the same thing. And they both were like, well, then why would I want to pay you money to be a dating coach if you can't guarantee me that I'm going to hook up with a 7, or 8, or 9, or a 10? If I'm a 1, or 2, or 3, or 4. Doesn't that defeat the purpose of you being a dating coach? Look at me. What kind of look am I giving you right now? Man, some of y'all, what's my classic line that I actually haven't said in a while? It's been a few weeks since I used one of my classic phrases that I like to use in my video podcast, which is wake the fuck up. If you watch my first probably 10, 15 videos, I use that like every other video. Wake the fuck up. Number one, I ain't no matchmaker. You confusing me with what's known as a professional match. That's what a professional matchmaker does. A professional matchmaker is in business to match you up with a companion that fits your expectations and specifications and preferred criteria. That's a matchmaker. So if you're a man and you say, I want to hook up with a woman that's tall, blonde, blue eyes, great personality, college educated, no kids, a matchmaker says, okay, I'm going to find you that type of woman. And if I don't, you either get 100% of your money back or at least 50 to 75% of your money back. That's what a matchmaker does. Matchmakers are in business to essentially guarantee you that they're going to find you romantic companions that are as close to your expectations and specifications and preferred criteria as possible. That's the job of a matchmaker. Alan Roger Currie is not a motherfucking matchmaker. Okay? Have I ever promoted myself as a matchmaker? Ever. I dare you to say that I have. I dare you to say that I have. I never promoted myself as a matchmaker. That's when I mentioned this on at least a couple of my previous videos. I don't guarantee men shit. And if that turns some of you all off as potential clients of mine, so be it. But one thing, when I work with guys for Skype and telephone consultations or for one-on-one face-to-face coaching, one thing I tell guys right off the bat, I never guarantee any male client of mine that they're going to be able to improve the quality or caliber of their romantic and sexual companions, and I never guarantee that they're going to be able to increase the quantity of their romantic or sexual companions. I never offer that as a guarantee. Now, that is always my confident hope. That is always my confident hope and expectation. But as far as an ironclad guarantee, I never guarantee any man this shit. Ever. Because if you read my very first book, Mo 1, what's one thing I say in the introduction, even before I get into the chapters? What's the one thing I say in my introduction? As you know, I got 4 archetypes of women. Reciprocators, rejectors, wholesome pretenders / erotic hypocrites, and manipulative time wasters. And specifically on the rejectors, I say in my introduction, I say, if you're looking for someone to guarantee you that he'll be able to help you convert a rejector into a reciprocator, I said, you're reading the wrong book. You following the wrong dating coach. I tell guys that in my book. I say, you are following the wrong dating coach. That's what's called a miracle worker. That ain't even a matchmaker. That's a miracle worker. See, I mentioned this once before. All of this, again, is repetitive. But one of the reasons why you had the website, that message board, before they deleted it because of Elliot Rodger, it was called PUA Hate. One of the reasons why you had PUA Hate is because there were a lot of pickup artists, otherwise known as PUAs, who had these ironclad guarantees. Like they would tell guys, if you work with me, I guarantee you'll end up in bed with an 8, 9, or 10. Or I guarantee you'll be fucking 10 women a month. And what happened? Those guys couldn't deliver on those guarantees. And that left a lot of guys pissed off, wanting to sue them, wanting their money back. A lot of them guys who offer guarantees were reluctant to give these guys their money back. Man, I don't give guys any unrealistic guarantees. Ever. Ever. I don't give any guys unrealistic or delusional guarantees. Ever. So if a guy was to come to me as a client and say on that 1 to 10 scale, he was a 1, a 2, a 3, or 4, I would never tell him or guarantee him that if you work with me, you're guaranteed to hook up with a 7, 8, 9, or 10. And the same with a woman. I have some female clients. Most of my female clients, though, I work with them in the area of BDSM and polyamory. But I don't guarantee. The only thing I come close to guaranteeing any of my clients is that if you work with me, your verbal communication skills are going to improve to some degree, and your ability to quickly and effectively identify women's manipulative head games are going to improve to one degree or another. That's the two closest things I come to coming close to a guarantee. And in those two areas, I can honestly say I've been in business now. I've been doing Skype and telephone consultations since 2007. I've been doing one-on-one face-to-face coaching sessions since 2010. So in the last 10 years of doing Skype and telephone consultations, and in the last 7 years of doing one-on-one face-to-face coaching sessions, I've never had one client say to me, Alan, I hate to tell you this, but me working with you has not in any way, shape, or form improved my verbal communication skills. I've never had one client say that to me. Second thing, I've never had a client say to me, Alan, after working with you, I still feel clueless about women's manipulative head games. I've never had not one client say that to me. Not one. Those are the two areas I focus on. My specialty as a dating coach is helping men improve their verbal communication skills with women, and more specifically, their verbal seduction skills and their ability to utilize what's known as erotic dirty talk. And secondly, my helping men be able to quickly and effectively identify manipulative head games. Manipulative head games. And I would say in those two areas, of course this is a ridiculously biased opinion, but in those two areas, I think I'm the best dating coach in the world. I really do. Now, somebody out there might try to argue with me, but I think in those two areas, when it comes to the area of verbal communicate, helping men improve their verbal communication skills and verbal seduction skills, and helping men quickly and effectively identify when a woman is trying to employ manipulative head games with them, I don't think there's any dating coach in the world, male or female, that's better than me. That's better than me. If there is one, I say, show me their Wikipedia page and I'll take a look at it. That's what I'll say. If there's somebody better than me in them two areas, show me their Wikipedia page and I'll take a look at it. I'm not a matchmaker. I'm not a miracle worker. And what I mean with a miracle worker is, I use the example of a guy who's 400 pounds with 4 rotten teeth in his mouth. Hey man, you think about any type of coach, like a basketball coach or a football coach. Now, Phil Jackson, the former coach of the Lakers, Los Angeles Lakers, and the Chicago Bulls, he led both of those teams to a total of 11 NBA championships. 11 NBA championships. Now, does that mean because Phil Jackson led his teams to 11 NBA championships that he can take any guy off the street and turn him into Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen or Kobe Bryant? Come on, man. Are you serious? Are you serious? I mean, come on, man. Do you think any like singing coach or vocal coach can turn any woman off the street into the next Beyonce or the next Adele? Are you serious? You think any acting coach can turn any guy off the street into the next Denzel Washington or Robert De Niro? Wake the fuck up, man. I'm a dating coach, not a dating miracle worker. And what I mean by that is that I can share with you my knowledge, my wisdom, my insight, my expertise, my advice, but you got to be bringing something to the table too. You got to be bringing something to the table too. As my client, you got to be bringing something to the table. And that goes for any coach in any industry. That goes for like personal trainers, health and fitness trainers. You know, they can't just magically make a man or woman have this super duper fantastic body. Their clients have to put in the work, man. Their clients got to put in the work. They'll share their knowledge, their wisdom, their insight, their expertise with their health and fitness clients. If they're a health and fitness trainer or nutritionist. But ultimately, it's going to be up to those clients, man, to put in the work, man. That's how I feel, man, about my clients, man. I don't sell magic pills, man. I don't contribute to men's delusional fantasies. I am not a miracle worker. And I'm not a matchmaker. A good coach helps people maximize the talents and attributes that they already have. That's what a good coach does. He doesn't give people talents or attributes that they don't have. Phil Jackson didn't give Michael Jordan any of his athletic talent or basketball talent. What he did is he helped Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen best maximize what they already brought to the table. That's what he did. That Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen's previous coach did not do. And what Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal's previous coaches did not do. He helped them maximize what they brought to the table. He didn't give them what they brought to the table. He just helped them maximize what they brought to the table. That's what I do in the dating and relationships world. That's what I do. I help men maximize what they're already bringing to the table. That's what I do. Again, my main area more than any other area, just like a physician. I wrote an article. I'll include that below. And again, if you always want to give me public feedback, comment section below. Private feedback, you can write me at coaching@mode1.net, MODEONE.net, or write me through my Facebook pages. But yeah, I'm going to include an article below where I wrote, like, I compared dating coaches similar to physicians. Like in the world of healthcare and physicians, you have what's known as general physicians, or what's also known as family doctors. That means they cover kind of a wide range of ailments. And then if they feel like they don't have the expertise to help you solve a specific ailment, they'll refer you to a specialist. And there's other physicians who have certain specialties. Like there's cardiologists who work with heart-related problems, podiatrists who work with foot-related problems, dentists, teeth-related problems, ophthalmologists or optometrists, I say more so ophthalmologists who work with eye-related problems, dermatologists work with skin-related problems. I forget the name of the ones who help you work with stomach problems or digestive-related issues. Then there's doctors who specialize in back and spinal cord related issues, and so on and so on and so on. There's a lot of doctors who have specialties. There's your general physicians, and then there's your specialists. Well, I would say loosely in the world of dating relationships, I would say that loosely applies to dating and relationships advisors, experts, and coaches. There's some dating relationship experts that consider themselves a jack of all trades. They deal with various aspects of dating relationships. Then there's others who deal with specific areas. Like I know, for example, some relationship experts, they deal specifically with men and women who are recent divorcees or recent widows. So their specialty is helping people overcome a divorce. Some guys, I know dating coaches who specifically help men in the area of grooming and clothing. Grooming and clothing. That's their specialty area. They help men dress better and groom themselves better. Trying to think of some other thing. Some guys are specifically sex coaches. They help men fuck better. Like, I'll give a plug, Steve the Dean Williams. He has like 2 or 3 videos where he actually teaches men how to lick pussy, how to tongue kiss better, how to fuck women doggy style better or fuck a missionary position better. He literally has videos. So I'll go ahead and give him a referral and a plug. Stevie D. Williams. So he calls himself a sex coach. There's some guys, that's their specialty. Again, I cover a few different areas overall, but my main 2 specialties are verbal communication skills and more specifically verbal seduction and erotic dirty talk skills. And secondly, identifying manipulative head games. Manipulative head games. If I add on one more thing, reading women's body language. I help men improve their own demeanor and body language, and I help them read the subtle signs and signals of women's body language. So that's my main specialties. And I've helped hundreds of men in that area. Hundreds of men in those areas. Hundreds of men. I got testimonials out the yin yang. I helped one guy have a threesome with a well-known female celebrity in Hollywood. I'm not going to say her name, but yeah. He told me that my book, Ooh Say It Again, not only helped him fuck a celebrity, fairly well-known celebrity, but he had a threesome with her because of my knowledge, wisdom, and advice. He fucked a Hollywood celebrity. He's an actor himself. Yeah. So, shit. Don't ever doubt my coaching skills. Again, if you're going to evaluate me as a coach, I challenge you to come with some valid criticisms. I challenge you to. I challenge you to come with some valid criticisms of what I do as a coach. But when you try to confuse me and conflate me with a matchmaker and or a miracle worker, then your criticisms and insults are going to fall on deaf ears because I'm neither one. I've never marketed myself. Again, I don't guarantee any man that if he's a 1, 2, 3, or 4 on that mythical 1 to 10 scale, that he's going to be able to hook up with a 7, 8, 9, or 10 because of my advice and knowledge and wisdom and tutelage. I've never guaranteed a man that. That's not to say it's impossible. I think I've had some men that have connected with a woman who was quote unquote out of their league, but I don't guarantee that shit. Same with women. I don't guarantee that shit. So, to wrap up, I've gone over an hour. I failed on 2 goals. I first want to keep it under a half hour, then I want to keep it under an hour. But now I'm going to wrap up. So I covered 3 things basically. Number 1, to recap, the looks piece. I always tell men real simply this. Looks is something that you can never put too much emphasis on, but by the same token, you can never put too little emphasis on. You can't do either one. To do either one is a mistake. If you put 99% of your emphasis on looks, that's a mistake. If you put only 1 or 2% of your emphasis on looks, that's a mistake. So if you're on either extreme, you're making a mistake. Looks are rarely the sole and specific factor that leads to your success with women, but by the same token, looks are always a contributing factor. Your physical appearance is always a contributing factor to your success with women. And my one piece of advice when it comes to looks, if nothing else, man, you got to manage your weight, man. If you don't do anything else to do with your looks, you need to take care of your general personal hygiene, your general grooming, and you got to manage your weight. I mean, I'll openly admit that's been a challenge to me in my older years. Like when I was young, I pretty much always kept maintain a slim, lean, athletically proportioned physique. But once I got into my 40s, man, I'll openly admit myself, I've had some struggles. I've gone up and down with my weight since I turned 40, man. So yeah, man, you got to manage that weight, man. You got to manage your weight, if nothing else, man. You got to manage your weight, man. If you got a big ass like beer belly, man, you're gonna have a tough time pulling women. I'm just gonna keep it real, man. Let's keep it real, man. If you're a guy, again, the only exception time you can get away with having somewhat of a big stomach is if you tall and or you got women know you got a big dick. If you tall and or women know you got a big dick, that's when you can get away with having somewhat of a hefty stomach. But if you short or you got a small dick, man, you need to keep yourself as slender and lean as possible. Trust me when I say that. So that's my recap on the looks piece. On the money piece, money and material possessions, when it comes specifically to provoking a woman to find you sexually appealing, that don't got shit to do with shit. And I've said that in multiple video podcasts of mine. Money, things like career success, financial success, social status, those type of things, those things enhance the appeal of your non-sexual attention and companionship. Remember, what's my most fundamental rule that supersedes any other rule I have, any other philosophy I have? My most fundamental rule, I always repeatedly tell you, is this. And this applies to both men and women, both genders. Never, ever, ever confuse or conflate the appeal of your non-sexual attention and companionship with the appeal of your sexual attention and companionship. Never confuse and or conflate the appeal of your non-sexual attention and companionship with the appeal of your sexual attention and companionship. A lot of men and women make that mistake, man. Women are most guilty of overestimating the appeal of their non-sexual attention and companionship. That's where women make most of their mistakes. They tend to be most guilty of overestimating the appeal of their non-sexual attention and companionship. Men, on the other hand, tend to be most guilty of overestimating the appeal of their sexual attention and companionship. So both men and women make the same mistake, but they make it on different sides of the coin. Again, women more so on the non-sexual end, particularly middle-aged and older women. I hate to pick on you guys, but a lot of middle-aged and older women, y'all tend to make a big mistake of overestimating the appeal of your non-sexual attention and companionship. Realistically, most women out here in society, most of the men that you cross paths with, they just trying to fuck you. You got to be a really special woman to make a man genuinely want to spend time with you, both sexually and non-sexually. That's why most men, when they find a woman like that, they use the word special. She's special. That's what does special mean? That means like one of a kind, like a rare breed. When a man meets a woman that he genuinely loves spending time with, both sexually and non-sexually, that means that woman is special. But most women, guys just want that pussy. They just want their dick in your mouth, your pussy, and or your ass. I'm just keeping it real. I know I hurt some feelings on the female side, but I'm just keeping it real. Most men out here, they just trying to fuck. You got to be really a dazzling, dynamic, special woman to make a man want to spend time with you on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis, both sexually and non-sexually. Excuse me for a second. And again, men tend to make that same mistake on the sexual end. I know a lot of men related to this whole money piece. Like, there's a lot of men that say they go from making 50 grand a year to making 150 or 250 grand a year, and they see all these women coming their way. And all of a sudden, they'll delude themselves. Let me repeat that. They'll delude themselves into believing, oh yeah, women look at me as sexy now. Women look at me as more handsome and sexy now. Shoot, yeah, I'm sexy because of my money. No, you're not. I hate to be the one to tell you this. No, you're not. The only thing that makes you more handsome and more sexy is if you do something to improve your fucking physique. You start grooming yourself better. You start dressing better. You start taking better care of your eating habits and your exercise habits and your overall health and fitness. That's what contributes to you being perceived as more handsome in a woman's eyes and sexier in a woman's eyes. Is if you do things like improve your grooming, your hygiene, your clothing, and your physique, and I would say along with that, my specialty, your verbal communication skills. Your verbal communication skills. But money alone or material possessions alone, career success alone, all you're going to attract is manipulative time wasters, gold diggers, and other related types. That's all you're attracting. That's all you're attracting. Never confuse a trick with a ladies' man or womanizer. Never confuse a sugar daddy with a ladies' man. Never confuse a trick with a womanizer. Those are two different things. Those are two different things. Again, the number one time you can tell if a woman is really interested in you sexually, I mean really, really, really interested in you sexually, if she will give you the pussy for free. Or if not for free, at least for a minimal amount of money. Like say maybe a $10 breakfast you treated her to, or a $15 lunch, or a $25 dinner. You know, something real minimal. But if you got to spend hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, or millions of dollars to get a woman, to motivate a woman to sleep with you, she ain't attracted to you. I'm telling you that straight up. That woman ain't attracted to you. She might be doing a good job, an Academy Award-winning job of acting like she's attracted to you sexually, but I can almost guarantee you that she's not. I can guarantee you she's not. And as soon as she run across a motherfucker that's offering her better financial security than you and offering to spend more money on it than you, she's going to dump your ass and go right to that guy. Period. And my final recap. Never confuse me or really any dating coach with a matchmaker or a miracle worker. Never confuse a dating coach or a dating advisor with being a matchmaker is someone that's in business to virtually guarantee a client that they can find them the exact or as close to the exact type of companion that they're looking for. That's the job of a matchmaker. So if you say, I want a woman who's a brunette with big tits, round ass, flat stomach, no kids, a master's degree from an Ivy League institution, and owns her own house with 2 cars, it's a matchmaker's job to find you a woman who's as close to that description as possible. That's what matchmakers are paid for. So if you're looking for somebody to help you find a specific quality or caliber of woman or a specific quality or caliber of man, then you don't need to pay a dating coach. You need to pay a matchmaker. That's what matchmakers are for. A dating coach, I would compare a dating coach most to like a health and fitness personal trainer or a nutritionist. Yeah, that's what I would loosely compare dating coaches to. Their idea, their job is to help you. Like the biggest thing I do, the first thing I do with my clients, and I mentioned this before, the very first thing I do with my clients is I help them weed out invalid beliefs, invalid and ineffective attitudes, and what I call faulty social programming. That's the very first thing I do when I work with male clients. Is because the number one thing that fucks up a lot of men is that they have the wrong beliefs in their head, they got the wrong attitudes, and they just overall got the wrong social programming. So that's the very first thing I do is I find out what is this man's beliefs towards women? What is his attitudes towards women? What is his overall social programming towards dealing with women? And I identify all the flaws and weaknesses and egotistical insecurities that I feel are holding him back. So that's the very first thing I do when I work with clients is I go into your head, so to speak, and I just start pulling out information out of your head to find out where you've gone wrong just on a mental level. And then from there, again, I start working with you. If nothing else, I start working with you on improving your verbal communication skills, replacing ineffective verbal communication skills with more highly effective verbal communication skills. And I help men improve their demeanor, their body language. I help men read women's body language. And I help men quickly and effectively identify when they're dealing with a woman who's a highly manipulative type. A woman who's really just looking to engage them in manipulative head games. That's what I do. That's what I get paid. That's what I earn a living to do. I don't earn a living selling men magic pills and unrealistic ironclad guarantees. Bullshit. I'm not in business to contribute to men's delusional fantasies. Get it? Got it? Good. Wake the fuck up. Hashtag. See, I didn't prepare one ahead of time, so now you see me, I got to think of one. Hashtag. Yeah, I'm stuck. I got like 5 different ones I'm entertaining in my head. I can't decide which one I want to use. Okay. I'll use this simple one. Dating coaches are not matchmakers. That's be my simple one. I had a couple others I was entertaining that were more provocative or used more words, but I'll go with that. The hashtag for this is dating coaches are not matchmakers. Dating coaches are not matchmakers. You need to keep that in mind. Again, based on a lot of feedback I received from not only my male listeners and viewers, but some of my female listeners and viewers, some of you are confusing and conflating the role of a dating coach with the role of a matchmaker. Those are 2 separate careers. Those are 2 separate careers. I'm no one's matchmaker. All right. Again, 90 to 99% chance I'm going to do another video podcast tomorrow. It'll be exclusively for my patreon.com subscribers, $5 and up. It might be brief. It might be only like 30 minutes. But yeah, more than likely, I'll probably come back with another one tomorrow. All right. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1.
Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. 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 You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
I bet the king would fuck me really good.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie. The king.
The king.
The king.